It's supposed to be a big joke. I get it. Yeah, it's all a big fucking joke. It's all hilarious. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Yes, it's all a big fucking joke. Jews like David Sachs and Howard Lutnick and Jared Kushner are running the government in ways we don't even understand. Things like AI, data centers, it's dominating our lives. Nothing gets better. We're supposed to be hobbits corralled into plantations by elves. Yes, they're all so fucking smart. We're all just low IQ anti-Semites. I'm just sick of it. It's a metric ton of fucking bullshit. And like, I still have a bullshit detector. It's still intact. It survived Trumpism. And I'm just wondering where everybody else is. Where did you guys go? If Biden or Harris did anything that Trump was doing, you guys would be losing your damn minds. But people are not. And I'm not that guy, you know. I don't have a jersey on. I'm not getting paid. So there's that. You know, people love to attack me because I say stuff like this. I say, what are you on the left? This guy, he's trying to stop us from winning. Us. I'm sorry. Am I a contracted member of the team? I didn't get the uniform. I didn't get the memo. Who's my boss now? I must have missed that. And, you know, people that are not being paid need to kind of get together and say, we need to form a union here, so to speak. So anyway, that's that. We're going to move on. We're going to take a look at the super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say. They don't like that I'm saying this. They don't like it. They know I'm right. People are waking up. All right, let's take a look. We'll see what you guys have to say. Let me get set up. Let's get set up. Let's see what you guys got. And look, you know what I love? It's crazy that my clips are going viral now, and it's all of the people you would least expect that are liking them. It's Muslims, it's black people, it's leftists. They're all saying, wow, I could see why this guy was censored. And it's the Trump people that are antagonistic towards me, which is very interesting, isn't it? And I'm glad to see it because I'm for all people in a sense. In the sense that, and I'm going to choose my words carefully because we don't want to sound like we are accommodationists. I don't want to sound like our goal is to please everybody because look, communists are not going to be pleased. Refugees, illegal immigrants are not going to be pleased with our platform. But it is important to understand that we have more in common with each other than we do with them. That's kind of the big message. Is like we have to stop splitting society down the middle where we say it's us and our elites versus them and their elites. We don't have elites. The elites are a unit. And so we're alienating one another over stuff. We need to start to look at ourselves as Americans and realize that who is ruling us, they're not American. They're Israeli. Many of them are immigrants. They're cosmopolitan. They are transnational. They have no skin in the game here. They have no attachment to this land. You know, take a look at the biggest companies on Wall Street. Take a look at the biggest donors to the political parties. Look at the owners of the companies. Look at the donors. How many of them are rooted in America? How many of the most powerful people in this country were even born here? Have any affection or attachment to America? The ultra wealthy, they belong to no nation, okay? They go wherever they please. All over America, all over the world. They have properties everywhere, business everywhere. Many of them are not from here, very liberal attitudes about everything. And you're fighting there might be in your high school class some, burnout weed smoker who's on Reddit too much, and you're like, that guy's my enemy, and that guy looks at you as a shit poster on X, that guy's a Nazi, we're gonna kill each other. And don't get me wrong, there's still differences, there's still NPCs out there, there's ideological stuff, but we do need to embrace a more expansive version, a more expansive vision. Because the culture war stuff, it doesn't tend to favor us. I'll just say that much. We see where it's gotten us. Okay, we won in the last election. How's that going? Our side, we won. Trump won. Take that, liberals. And what is it? It's shit. It's utter shit. So clearly something did not work there. Like there's a miscalibration there. Anyway.
All right. If I may, this is growth. And when I say this is growth, I don't necessarily mean that this is growth from Nick Fuentes specifically. That's not exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. Because even though I do think that it is growth within Nick Fuentes, I told y'all before, I've only tapped into Nick Fuentes for the last week or so. I have went back and looked at some documentaries. A couple people sent me some. But this is growth just amongst politicians. This is growth among political commentators. Accountability. Think about it. Whether it's our politicians or political commentators, most of the time, we are just fighting to prove that the person we voted for was right. We're fighting to prove that, to justify. We are fighting to justify the fact that we voted for Trump and why it's still a better decision over voting for Kamala Harris. Both parties do it. Both sides do it. Not just the politicians, but the political commentators, as well as the people. Like Nick Fuentes said, I believe a couple shows earlier, like we've been saying, people are playing politics like you're rooting for your favorite sports team. And you can't do that. Once you do that, you give up all your leverage and power. Everything that I heard him say in that speech was about leveraging power, uniting, bringing together the people that are not paid for, right? The people that are unpaid and uncompromising. That's what I heard. So the reason why I say it's growth is because when you have influential people that are willing to call out these politicians on their BS and not just go along with Trump because you're scared how he's going to retaliate, not just go along and, be okay with Biden not being the president, being in his basement, being wherever, clearly not having the cognitive capability to run the country, but you're just going along with it because of your selfish reasons. You don't want to put yourself in a bad position. You don't want to call out Biden and then face the retaliation that comes along with it, even though you're supposed to be serving the people and bringing truth to the people. You're still not willing to put yourself on the line for the people because you don't want to risk what's going to happen calling out Biden. And to Nick's point, the accountability that they don't want to hear, that they're scared of, is the fact that he's holding Trump MAGA folk to the same standard that Trump MAGA folk were holding Joe Biden and his team to. I was one of them. I was one of those people that it's like, yo, Biden does not have the cognitive capability. Where is he? He hasn't shown up. Clearly, he's not running the country. If Biden did the same thing that Trump has done this last week, what would we be saying? What would everybody be saying? Except the people that are aligned with Joe Biden. This is the accountability that they're scared of, because when you're that comfortable calling out both sides, they know that you can't be bought and paid for. You can't be bought and paid for. And people that can't be bought and paid for, that means that you actually have to do work and actually have to have action behind those things that you're saying. See, they'd rather just people be bought and paid for. No different than what companies are doing right now. You know why companies have adjusted their marketing strategies? It's because they realize how people are processing and taking in information now. They're going to the TikTok influencers. They're going to the Instagram influencers. They're going to the influencers. They'd rather pay and use the trust that influencer has developed with their following and leverage that rather than do anything on their own. It's money well spent in their mind. So it's the same thing that these politicians would rather do. Kamala Harris would rather just pay Meg the Stallion in order to get a certain vote. They'd rather pay these influencers, and it's done on both sides, which Nick is calling out. And this is actually something that I studied maybe about, I want to say 10 years ago when I first got out of playing football. Actually, this is maybe a year after. And I was starting to work with the surgery center, and one of my mentors was explaining to me, I believe what it was a term called third-party marketing. Yeah, I think it was called third-party marketing. Let me just explain the concept and you'll understand. When I speak about my company, you're hearing it from the first hand, right? The first hand, me telling you how amazing the OG network is, right? Me telling you about the product that I'm trying to sell you on. Obviously, I'm going to speak highly of it. I'm going to be hopefully honest, but let's be real. Most of us are going to not speak about the shortcomings that we have, not be brutally honest there, and also elevate the positive aspects of it. Just like if we were selling anything else that is ours, right? Now, when somebody else says those things about the OG network, then it's different. It's different. People latch on to that more. People trust it more. The people that person who said, go check out the OG network, the people that trust that person that said it, they're going to believe it more if it's coming from them than if it's coming from me. So this is the same strategy what a lot of these politicians do, because they know that them saying anything is like how we look at Gavin Newsom saying something. But if Gavin Newsom can now work with somebody, let's say like a Nick Fuentes, and now Nick Fuentes is reaching out to the Groypers and saying like, yo, Gavin Newsom, just trust me on this one. This is the direction that I'm going. People want to follow Nick Fuentes. So therefore, they'll be more likely to, you know what? Let me check this out with Gavin. So this is why it's so important to have political leaders, not talking about politicians, but political leaders like Nick Fuentes who do not want to look for a check, who are not the Charlie Kirks that are out here just bragging about how much money they get, who are not the Ted Cruzes. Of course, Ted Cruz is going to sit up there on Tucker Carlson's show and say, yeah, I think God commanded me to be good to Israel. God commanded you, or your pockets commanded you? Which one is it? And for a lot of people, it's the same thing, if we're lucky, because for a lot of people, perhaps like a Ted Cruz, they're prioritizing the pockets rather than God, right? So to the point that I initially stated about Nick's growth, this is where I see the growth coming in from a personal standpoint with Nick. And you guys correct me if I'm wrong. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. When he says that he notices that a lot of people who other people may be surprised are liking his videos now and helping his clips go viral. Shout out to the black guy in the corner. Y'all know what it is. Bunch of people have been tagging me and stuff, or haven't been tagging me and stuff, but I see a bunch of people posting the videos and saying like, yo, who's the random black guy in the corner? Who's the black? It's all good. That'll be me. But I believe that with Nick seeing a whole bunch of these people that perhaps wouldn't typically follow, or we wouldn't think would typically follow a guy like Nick Fuentes, he's getting accused of being racist. He says the N-word. Wait, all of a sudden, black people are feeling what I'm saying? And it's because he comes across as genuine. It's because he's a straight shooter. Like I said before, if I'm going to lower my guard with anybody and want to hear somebody out, it's not going to be people telling me what Gavin Newsom would tell me. It's not going to be people telling me what the entire Democrat liberal platform has been based on, trying to convince me that I'm a victim and that the only way for me to be successful in this country is to buy into Democratic policies because they'll fight for me because I'm not capable of making it on my own and fighting for myself, right? They want me to embrace that victimhood. When I hear a guy like Nick Fuentes, who is not trying to sell me on something, who's not trying to just tell me a bunch of nice things about me, right? It's almost like when you see certain women that they like when a guy feeds their ego, right? Insecure people. What do insecure women like? A guy can come up to an insecure woman and start talking to her and just tell her everything that the guy knows that she wants to hear, and she's completely open because she's insecure. She's developed this mentality, like from a personal standpoint, like a lot of Black people have developed when it comes to the Democratic Party, the insecurity. I can't make it unless I go all in voting and supporting these Democrats because the America's unfair to me. This is the same thing that when a woman who's insecure and a guy's telling her everything that she wants to hear can get her to do any and everything that he wants. But see, I'm not that woman. When you have a secure woman, she just wants a guy to be honest with her. Whether the guy is saying exactly what aligns with what she wants in life, whether a guy is saying exactly what she wants to hear in that moment. She appreciates the honesty and the fact that that guy is confident enough to just shoot it to her straight and then give her the opportunity to respond accordingly to however she wants to respond. But at least I'm giving you the truth. So therefore, you can make whatever decision based on me giving you the truth, whatever decision you want after that. That's why we respect Nick Fuentes. And that's why a lot of us are now open to hearing his message. And with Nick Fuentes understanding this new opportunity that he has, he's doing what makes sense. This is what he should be doing. He's adjusting. He's adjusting. It's like you have this goal, right? You have this goal, and Nick Fuentes he's been making the goal clear. I'm for all people. He has this vision of the country. It's not like he wants the vision to only be adopted by angry white guys. He wants the vision to be adopted and embraced by all different types of people, but he doesn't want to adjust the vision and compromise the vision based on getting paid by this group, based on getting paid by that group. He wants to bring people on board. So when you have an opportunity to bring new people on board, you're looking at the goal and then you see like, okay, this is the goal, but now I got a new opportunity with this group of people. Maybe I need to adjust based on what makes sense to now get new people on board, because the ultimate goal in the first place was to get people thinking like this, to seeing this vision, to embracing this America First vision. He's adjusting based on what makes sense, and that's growth. That's something that we all should do, right? If we're going through a situation in life and something comes up, we adjust based on what makes sense in that moment. One of the most important lessons that I learned in football, this is after the league when I was up in Canada, shout out to Coach O. We were going over like a bunch of rules for the team in the beginning, and when he was finishing writing the rules, he wrote on the chalkboard in capital letters, he wrote, "Do what makes sense." Above anything else that I just told you, do what makes sense. Whether you're on the field or in life, do what makes sense. And that's a lot of times adjusting accordingly to the opportunity that you're presented based on the goal that you uncompromisingly are seeking to attain. All right, so he talked about something that should be obvious to us, but a lot of things are obvious to us. Doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to buy into it the way that we should buy into it. And he made this statement that the ultra wealthy belong to no nation. The ultra wealthy belong to no nation. Let me take it a step further. The ultra wealthy belong to no political party. That is why they put money in both parties. You look at a lot of these different organizations, you look at a lot of these different companies, a lot of these wealthy individuals, they put money in both parties. They hedge their bets. They hedge their bets. People with money that understand that they can make so much more money just by supporting these different candidates, they're going to go to Vegas and they're going to put a certain amount of money on both teams. They're putting money on both teams because the amount of money that they put on both teams is small compared to the amount of money that they'll make simply by supporting whoever ends up winning. We need to start thinking, or understanding, I should say, that these wealthy people that they use to push us one way or another, to radicalize us, they don't care. They're not radicalized. They're extremely balanced. Just follow the money. You can't tell me that you're radicalized or that you lean a particular way strongly when you're balanced with the money that you're giving to both parties. They don't have allegiances built on anything but what lines their pockets, what gives them power and influence. That's how they make decisions. So what should we do? We should figure out the best way to leverage our power, which Nick has made it clear, to unite amongst like-minded individuals that are willing to buy into this particular vision that he's setting and be uncompromising with it, not willing to budge, and to tell either party and to make it clear to either party, because you can't just tell them, but to show either party, to show whoever that nobody is just going to vote for you based on the promises that you make. It's going to be the actions that you've already taken. The actions that you've already taken. Like Nick said a few days ago, don't judge me based on what I'm telling you I'm going to do. Don't trust me, right? He said, don't trust me. Watch me work for the next year and then evaluate where I'm at and what happened in the meantime. And you tell me if that's something that you want to get on board with. That's the energy that we have to press these politicians with. If not, it's just going to be the same old, same old. It's just going to be the same thing on both sides. Trump's team, and they'll criticize Biden, but then do the very same thing on their end. And I'm sure they'll paint the picture in a totally different way. And even if they don't, their supporters are so narrow-minded, we just got to be real, they'll paint the picture in a different way for them. They'll start making excuses for Trump that they would get pissed off at people if they were making half of those excuses when it came to Biden doing similar things. Let's buy into that more expansive vision. And I believe this is what Nick is referring to when he says this expansive vision. He understands that expanding amongst other people that share the same mindset is only going to make the movement stronger. It's only going to make the movement stronger. So that's my takeaway. I'll see y'all in the next video. I'm going to be reviewing the first part of this episode and looking forward to hearing y'all feedback.